This is the audience participation part. I'm going to make it easy. I was thinking, I almost said, what if I ask you to stand up? You'd probably hate me. But I think you could raise your hand. Is anybody excited to learn something new today? Yes? Of course we are. Yeah? Good. Almost every hand went up. So, no, the dogs didn't, but he's fine. He's learned a lot just last night at the barbecue. But so we're here to learn so much. We don't just come to these wonderful conferences just to show up and look pretty and hope to get a sale, although that's probably the ulterior motive, what we're all thinking. However, we're coming together to learn from each other. This, if you look in this room, there is so much talent, so much knowledge, and as you are all CROs or leading within different capacities, lean on each other. Leaning on each other, you're running successful businesses. This is where the knowledge can transfer, and this is the safe zone. Got some great workshops this afternoon as well, too. Josh and Marcus, thanks so much for putting this together. We're here to learn, so I hope you are excited. Yeah? But let me ask you this. Raise your hand if you lead people, and look around the room. You could lead just one person. Yeah? Good. See, I got another hand up. Good for you. Anybody on mom and dad? Do you lead kids? Oh, there you go. See, now you can rationalize this to yourself. How about leading that dog? Yeah, there you go. He leads you. That's okay. That's okay. Leadership. So I think leadership touches every single one of us, right? Would you agree? Yeah. All right. In some way, shape, or form, we're in the responsibility and roles of our jobs to actually lead. We're getting paid to do something, or we're trying to get paid to have our own companies do something. Either way, we're in the same boat, so to speak, and I can say that, cruise. But raise your hand if you've been taught. I want you to think, have you been taught how to achieve transformation? That's a little harder. Raise your hand, don't be shy. Yeah, one, great, good, good, good. Look around the room. There's 2 hands up. But yet, just a while ago, we all said we're leaders, and our roles are to lead, right? And to lead and champion organizations. This is no fault of your own. They don't teach this in school, and they don't teach this in companies, which is kind of why I found my niche of we should be teaching this. Even harder yet, raise your hand. Think about this for a moment. Raise your hand if you've been taught how to manage personal change. 1, 2, 3. Oh, you have. You're on my company. Yes. Okay, so very few. But yet, we're all leaders. Our roles are to lead organizations, and to lead companies, and to lead people, right? Does anybody here deal with change? Should be every hand. If you're breathing, you live and experience change, right? Got Rachel too, thanks. I think the dog's hand did go up. So everything that happens to you in life, as long as you're breathing, you will be experiencing constant change. And I want you to think about this for a moment. The speed of change will never be as slow as it is today. Think about that. It will never be as slow as it is today. It's just going to get faster. So if you need a warning sign, there it was, have a drink, cocktail, whatever. It's going to get faster. And you're dealing with that. I've heard some of the conversations. Why is everybody resisting AI? Everybody should be using AI. You know, I'm even starting to use AI. It's actually kind of fun, and I find it easier, but I'm teaching myself. And how do we push people? Well, we don't want to push people through change. We've been doing that for 100 years in organizational change management. But how do we actually help people to embrace the very missions of what we're wanting to do? Marketing. We're here talking about marketing functions today. Does marketing experience any change? I heard you first laugh and I saw you giggle. Of course we do. Where do your pressures come from? Can anybody share with me? Where does your marketing pressure come from? Internally. Let's talk about internally.
Sales.
Sales? Does sales drive the pressure for marketing? Can, yeah. I remember having many negative conversations with the marketing teams when I was leading sales as well. Why can't you just do it the way we want? You know, we're the front line. We know what our customers need. And then they would challenge us back and say, no, you really don't understand the brand. And here comes all of that, etc. What else?
Client expectations.
What was it?
Client expectations.
Client expectations, yeah. Maybe they see you completely differently, or they want something immediately, right now, turn it over quickly. Why can't you just, and that's a change for you. And how do you feel about that?
Am I honest?
You say what you want. This is a safe room. You can even say a dirty word if you want.
It just puts pressure on you, doesn't it?
It does, right? And a lot of times we have to be on poise, right? We have to be on presence because we're leading. We're in front of other people, other employees, etc. And sometimes we just want to scream out, bloody hell, or whatever it could be, you know. Why this pressure? Why this change is happening to me? Whatever you do in your life, you will experience constant change. But as I just asked you, have you been taught how to manage that? And the answer is, oddly enough, no. When we were younger, nobody sits and says, hey Bob, hey Becky, this is how you're going to manage change for yourself for the rest of your life. It just doesn't happen. Here's what actually happens. You go to mom, you go to dad, brother, sister, teacher, the vicar, priest, whoever is leading your life, and you pour your heart and soul out to them because something's happening that's got you worried and causing fear and anxiety. What do they say to you? What does anybody say to you? Huh? Somebody said it. Was it? Suck it up. Oh yeah. Get on with it. Don't be daft. Just do it. My father would I'll give you something to be very afraid about. You ever have those? Yeah, I'm old enough. And he usually reached for the belt real quick. Yeah. But when they say things like that to you, it doesn't make you feel good. Sometimes they say the opposite, positive change. They'll say, oh, you're going to be wonderful. You're just going to be great. You know, just do it. Get married. Go ahead. Have 6 children. Do that today. Yeah, thanks. But what they're trying to say to you is to give you platitudes because nobody taught them how to manage change for themselves. And the problem is about 5 minutes after you walk away, your mind kicks back in and says, well, wait a minute, I don't know how I feel about that. So that's the mental side of it. But the mental side turns into physical. Raise your hand if you've ever felt that stress in the back of your shoulders, headaches, tension, rapid heart rate, etc. Sometimes hair standing up, right? Your body is saying something. I'm freaking out. Do something about this change. But we haven't been taught. Today I'm going to teach you how to do that for the first time ever. Would that be nice? Yeah? It would be great because we could reduce that stress. When somebody absolutely just spills out the diarrhea out their mouth, you can actually just sit and think to yourself, how do I feel about that? You know, and take charge. That's something you can walk away with today. So what we want to talk about in my giving to you is, let's talk about change. And let's talk about transformation. We hear the word so much. And I actually ask so many people, kind of flippantly say, oh, what's that mean? Yeah, I have no clue. And they can't explain it. So we're going to explain it today. We'll also talk about transformational leadership. In my doctorate, I wanted to look at what is the foundation of leadership. There's so many different leadership styles, and we hear this so much, right? Oh, what's your leadership style? Are you really engaging? Are you emoting? And are you empathetic and kind and care? You know, what's the foundation? Where do I start? That is not taught, and it should be. I'll teach you that today and give you that. You have a choice. Your leadership style is you. It should be representing you. But I also tell you exactly where we live most of our lives, and it ain't pretty. And once you see it, I want you to start reflecting on your own self. Okay? It's not your fault. This is a learnable skill set, and hopefully we'll talk about this so you can learn. We'll also understand the difference between organizational and personal change, because you need to know the difference. And that's my whole mantra, is disrupting a century's worth of organizational change that fails. Do you know in the UK, we can put a monetary value. The government has actually done this studies. The UK government actually comes back and says, in partnership with Oxford University, 37 billion pounds a year is lost in failed change initiatives. So you tell me, how's it working for you? And can you lose any money?
Is that the silent quitting?
That's the silent quitting, that's the lack of engagement, that's your knowledge, your institutional information and awareness walking out the door. That is the lack of, I'm not participating today. That is so much money that's gone. Failed marketing initiatives because the people didn't actually participate and object. You can put so many dollar figures on how did your change initiatives go, or how did they not. And what I'm trying to say is, let's wake up and let's actually start including people in on the change process. And if we can do that, then guess what? We're one step closer to achieving transformation. So is this okay for today? Yeah, can I engage you in it just for a little bit? Okay, let's get right to it. Change and transformation. What is the difference? Is anybody afraid of a little caterpillar? Of conscious? You are? Hide your eyes, darling. I'll just listen to my words. I'll try to walk you through it. But it's the easiest way to understand change and transformation, if I can see this to go through. So there he is, the little friend. So change and transformation, they're very different. A caterpillar doesn't just simply change. into a butterfly. Would you agree? Right? Okay. So a caterpillar actually goes into a cocoon, and it is chaos. It is organized chaos. And they're doing a transformation. They can't change into a butterfly because if you change, you can always go backwards. And that's why so many change initiatives fail. We think we're leading, but really we're skimming the surface. So in this organized chaos, a transformation occurs. To transform means you can only go forward. It's forward projection momentum. That's the definition in the easiest way to understand. To change, I can go back, which is why so many things falter, because I didn't reach you. So if I'm a leader and I come to you and I say, hey guys, here's this new initiative from HR, we're going to change all of this. We're having an organization structure change, payroll's going to change too. What I really know in the back of my mind is that 3 people are getting promoted and 2 people are getting a title change. So nobody's losing. However, in the communication of that change, since I don't include the people, everybody goes into stress, fear, worry, anxiety, and chaos, that organizing chaos. They're running it themselves without my giving the understanding of including them, right? So I have full intentions of a positive change, but yet what I'm sharing to them causes chaos. That's why so much change fails. And then you roll it out, and the rest of the teams just go back to the way. You didn't touch them. You didn't reach them. The change doesn't stick. Would you agree with that? It happens so much. But if you understand to transform means we can only go this way, okay? We aren't going back. And well, you're all living in today's technology society with all the different advances, and I hear some of you are actually driving it with SaaS technologies and new programs. There's a gentleman, where's Ruben? Ruben, where is he? There he is. I was just so dumbfounded yesterday with your amazing technology that you guys are doing that completely saves so much money for doing the same processes in the cloud systems. So we're all being faced with business as usual is changing. That doesn't even exist anymore, business as usual. Because as each day we walk in, there's some new technology. So if you understand this as a start, you don't want to be driving change at work. You want to be driving transformations because you don't want all of your employees to fall back to the ways they were doing before. Makes sense? I'll get to how in just a second, but if we can all agree to this, then we're in the right path forward. Okay, but what about transformational leadership? As we all raised our hands, we're all leaders. That's our roles. We lead businesses, maybe we're CROs, maybe we're CMOs, maybe we're chief sales officers. What's your next step? Where does a CRO go next, or a CMO or a CSO go next? What's the next level up? CEO. CEO. Do you want it? Anybody? Ruben says no.
Yeah.
Anybody want it? It's okay. This is a safe zone. Of course. And great for you. That means that you have to understand, as the leader of the entire organization, and even right now, what you're leading. Some of you are leading a lot, multiple departments and multiple divisions. So in essence, even where you sit today, that company is in your hands. How do you lead that actually drives impact? You need to understand the foundations of leadership, not the fluffy stuff all on the top. How do I actually make an impact? So, transformational leadership. What is it and how is it different? 2 words. Transactional leadership. Has anybody heard of this? Transactional leadership. What do you think it means? It's written right here, so tell. Good. I want to see if anybody's awake. So thanks. Yeah, it's right there. So it is a foundation of tell. Okay? And as you're reading this, as I'm sharing this with you, I want you to reflect on your leadership style. How do I present myself at work? And I'll give you another flip. How do you present yourself at home? Are you a transactional leader at home with the family? With your spouse? Because guess what? A transactional leader is directive in nature. I'm going to tell you what to do. And there's a lot of assumption that's loaded in that with it. If I tell you what to do, you will do what I told you to do. In essence, you will change. And that's where you're dead wrong. You are leading failure from the start if you lead from this directional approach. Now, there's a time. We'll talk about that at the end. But science will tell us that we live 83% of our lives in transactional. Why? Because it's easy, right? Think about it. Think about your day, okay? And all of a sudden here, I'm the little employee, and I come in, hey boss, how are you? I know you got 73 emails to read and you got 2 more meetings, but can I have a one-on-one with you now? Right? You know, just bugging you. What do? Thanks, just go do this, do that, get it done, right? Shoo off. You know, probably not that visual, I hope. But we do that, don't we? And we do that with kids, we do that with spouses. Transactional is easy because it's about you. It's about your time. And it's about you're in control. Control is the big word that sits behind that. I'm going to control the situation. I'm the leader. What happens, folks, is that you're setting yourselves up for failure. Failure to be followed, failure to be heard, failure to be actioned upon. You are only instigating change. And people will revert right back to their natural states of understanding on change as soon as they walk out of your office. Well, they told me what to do, and they said that if I just do this, it's going to work. I know that ain't right, and I know that ain't happening today. And you know what? Screw them. I'm going to say that I did it, and I'm going to go back and tell them, hey, I did what you told me to do, and it didn't work. Now what, smarty? Right? And you're laughing because it's probably true. It actually is true. It happens. And maybe they're not that smug, but I used to do it. I had some nasty bosses, and they would say, you just need to do that and that and that, and I told you. And I'm like, good for you. Watch how this won't work. Because there's no ownership, right? It's an assumed transfer of ownership. And you all know what happens when we assume. You're just basically taking a guess. There's no actual thought process that's put behind to drive that. There's less engagement. It's directorial. It's almost militant. And actually, in a military society, and I know this because I served in the US Navy for almost 4 years, it was a foundation of tell. You did exactly what you were told to do and you didn't question it, or you got push-ups and everything else forever. So there's a place for it. But it can't be 83% of your day. You're not building teams. You're not getting the best of people. The opposite is very true, but it's harder. Do you know why? It takes more of your time, right? And it also allows you to lose control a little bit. But if you're smart enough, if you understand the principle of coaching, coaching is so key. Coaching is one of the main key elements of transformational leadership because it facilitates the transfer of ownership. Absolutely. It facilitates ideation, it facilitates engagement, and it facilitates inclusion. It takes a little bit more of your time. However, it's so worthy. You know, and people will say, well, I don't have time for coaching. And the answer is you can coach anytime, anywhere. Right there at that table, at the water fountain, at the bus stop. All you have to do is just change your questioning, your line of principles. So if James comes up to me, hey Grant, this is what I think you told me to do. What should you think I should do on this assignment, etc.? What do you need from me? The worst thing I could do is tell James what to do. Because what happens then, he's going to try and interpolate what I said, and if it doesn't work, he can blame me. There's no transfer of ownership. But if I turn to James and I go, James, what do you think you could do? How could you do that? What would happen if you do that? Do you need anything from me? Great, go do that. All of the ideation came from him, and that conversation could be 5 minutes. A, he walks away with the idea. It's his. B, he walks away fully empowered. So he's going to give more energy to it. And C, if he comes back to me and he failed, the worst thing I could do is say, I told you so. No, the best thing you could do is say, well, what did you learn from it? What would you do differently? What else can I help you with? Do you need me? Right? Be that transformational leader. It's harder because, as I said to you, you'll spend 83% of your life over there because you're trying to control your narrative. If you can start to shift over here at any possible moment, you're leading transformationally and you're building a coalition. So think about this when you're going to be the CEO, because you will be, right? This is what you want to establish in your foundation for your organization. And all of you, as CROs, CMOs, CSOs, or whatever, maybe you're just founders or you're owners of your own destiny in your own company. This is where we should be for ourselves, our people, and also our customers. Most importantly, our customers. If you're trying to sell and tell a customer in transactional, guess what? You're just trying to facilitate change. And I also will argue sales is change. You need to learn that because you're instigating the change process. When you go to sell something to somebody, you're the change, you're the disruption. They don't need you. They're going to sit in their heads and instantly think, well, what's the price? I don't have budget. I can't approve this. I have 6 other people who need to make a decision. And you need to start working over here, and it has to be a co-creation, right? And you can do that through a coaching process. So does this make sense?
Yeah.
Does this give you a good foundation of leadership of where you should be? From here, you can package anything else on top. You want to be the emotive leader? Great. Package that on top here in transformation, right? Don't package emotional on top of transactional. You still won't get the result, okay? And there are many different archetypes of leadership, but if you understand the base, you've got half the battle done. Is that fair? Yeah? Good. Perfect. What's the differences within change management? Well, for the last 100 years, there hasn't been anything until I got into this master's program. And let me tell you what, you go try starting a new business in a 100-year-old organization globally, and your worst complainers will be certified change management agents themselves, you know, and I can break their model every time. So organizational change. There are so many different models, there literally are. But in my research, I was able to speak with some of the great leaders who actually built these models. And I asked them the tough questions. What did you build your model for? And it was for the organization. We were hired by business, by industry, to move X to Y to Z. That's it. And I said, did you intend for people to be included? No, that wasn't the contract. And that wasn't what the direction was. The direction was move the process from X, Y to Z. Get it done, collect our paycheck, move on, right? That is oversimplifying, but if you understand it, you have the father, which is Kurt Lewin, unfreeze, change, refreeze. Do you see a human being in that in anywhere? Unfreeze it. Well, what the hell does that mean? You know, IBM, just unfreeze the way you're working. Great, thanks, I'll get on that. Change it, sure. Well, we know now change means you can go back. So that isn't gonna work. So then just refreeze it. Thankfully, we've evolved. McKinsey, anybody heard McKinsey? Yeah, very reputable, right, globally. Big think tanks. The 7S module, structured, system, style, staff. Now you're starting to see a word about people, but notice the word they used, staff. Do you think that this model is anything about you, the staff, or your staff? No, it's not. And your key indicator is at the center, shared values. It was designed for the shared values of the organization, not the people. They're very different, okay? And as leaders, I want you to understand both. Organizational change is valid, you need it, but for what it should be used for. What we're going to start to talk about is personal change, and that's probably where we should start and then blend them. This is the biggest misnomer and the biggest myth. Has anybody seen this, the SARA curve? SARA, shock, anger, resistance, acceptance. The SARA feedback curve is attributed to Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross. She's no longer with us. She was a doctor on patients who were experiencing death and or dying, so a medical doctor. Her model actually had 13 steps, but that's not indicated here. David Rogel is a world business leader. He actually uses this for 360 employee feedback evaluations, which just shocks me. But let me ask you this. If you're getting a performance evaluation and you're being promoted, congratulations. Are you going to be in shock? Maybe. Just got here yesterday and I'm being promoted already, right? Are you going to be angry? No. Right? Are you going to resist it?
Nope.
No, give me the money. I don't care what the leadership role is, right? And then you'll finally accept it. You'll probably be there. So you might be maybe a little surprised and you might be acceptance. What this tells us is you can't take models and force them on all things and all people. So I actually thought, I can't be the only one in the world. I actually went to Ken Ross, who's the son of Dr. Elizabeth Kubler-Ross, to the foundation, and he allowed me to do an interview with him twice. He was a glutton for punishment. But I had about 3 hours with him, and I said, did your mom make this? And he said, no, not at all. She was the most anti-businesswoman ever. Businesses came to her all the time and said, can we use your model for X? And she goes, I'm sorry, I'm a medical doctor on death and dying. I don't know anything about IBM. She used typewriters. Her son bought her 3 laptops and she still used typewriters. So there you go. That's what happens though. people are taking these global change models for the past 100 years and using them wherever that it can fit their narrative. They weren't designed for that, okay? ADKAR is another one. ProSci, this is huge. This is global. They are a major global change entity for business as well too. ADKAR, awareness, desire, knowledge, ability, and reinforcement. And I have to walk very delicately every time because they're massive on marketing. They're everywhere out there, and I actually always have to praise them. But the ProSci certified people will come back and say, Grant, you didn't need to make that model for personal change. We've got that covered. One size fits all. And I said, where do you see the people in this? And I'm going to ask you that question. Where do you see you in ADKAR, ADKAR? Where are you? Anybody? Shout it out.
Human capital.
Human capital. Capital. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. Do you see yourself in any of these letters? It's actually about you. So they kind of started to get there. Do you have the awareness? Do you have the desire? Stop right there. And that's where I asked the ProSci certified agents, I said, what happens if the human being doesn't have the desire to go forward and support your change so you can make more money? Right? Can you force the rest of the model on them? No, you can't. Ta-da! So that's where I get into trouble. I get a lot of nasty looks, but it's true. And some of them actually tell me, desire's the hardest part, and there is no right recipe. And this is beautiful. I use this after I embrace personal change management with people, because this is an excellent model. Once you use scared so what, you know who has they have the awareness, you know if they have the desire or not, and you can actually facilitate the rest of the model to get change through your organization. This may be a topic that you're not used to, but as leaders, as future CEOs, as where you are right now, founders and owners, you need to be aware of this. The world is rapidly changing. How you lead it is going to determine the outcomes of your organization. Is that fair? But you can learn that. So organizational change is important. But as we talked about, what about personal change, right? Personal change is any change about you. And a lot of sales teams, I get a lot of sales. Sales is always hoorah, hoorah. You know, the sales teams, we can do anything and everything. And I get that. I ran that for years. I'm the first doctor in sales transformation in the world. So I kind of have to hold that flag. I get it. However, we also lie to ourselves a lot. Okay? We think that all of our people magically will accept the changes that are coming to them, but we don't ask the tough questions. And let me ask you, have you ever asked this question of your employees? Do you accept this change? Do you support this change? Everybody's saying no. Do you think you can be on board with this change? Please, pretty please. I want to reorg the whole structure. Can we do that? No, we don't say that. We don't do that because that would be vulnerable, right? We're the boss. We're the leaders. We're transactional leader. We tell you what to do. Well, that's your mistake. We don't talk this way, but we should, because every human being has feelings, including you. If we don't ask these questions, here's what happens. If people are not on board, things go wrong. Whether you like it or not, you need the people in your organization. And if you're going to be a leader, you should like that. You should want your people to be happy, but you need to teach your people how to manage change for themselves. You do that, you transform your organization. You do that, you're empowered. You do that, you know you have people who are on board and they will follow you. That's the difference. You follow, correct me if I'm wrong, you follow people who you emulate. Is that correct? You like, you respect transformational leaders. Of course we do. The power of choice lies with your people. And if you don't know what they're feeling, that's on you. So personal change, what is it? We haven't talked about this. We haven't been taught this. Personal change is any change that happens to you, for you, with you, or about you. It is not about the organization. Your work and your organization may cause it, right? You're leading marketing. Your team's just going to get it. The customer, right? The customer, they want too much. That's critical change that's happening to you. So the organization or your customers might cause it, but it is about you. How do you feel about it? You have feelings for a reason, whether you want to admit it or not. And what you're struggling is a way to process it, and I'm going to give you that way to process it today. How do you manage it? The process involves critical reflection. What we do today is we go into fear, worry, stress, and anxiety, and we stew. And sometimes we get like to get others in on with us. Do you know what he did to me, James? That, right? How dare he? Well, we're going to set him up. He can't tell me what to do, right? We love to get people with us. And usually we don't have all of the information. So what I want to do is invite you to start reflecting. I want you to be open with yourself. The most important person in the room is you. If the change is happening to you, you owe it to yourself to think it through. You might be able to find a solution that works for you. The change is about you. The organization might cause it, but what do you want? As we established earlier, you can accept change and you can reject change. You have a choice. And sometimes these changes that happen at work, they're not for you. But if you reflect through it, you might find a different solution. When personal change happens to you, I want you to think, am I scared? It doesn't have to be scary, it's an acronym. But the actual psychology of it is pretty empowering, okay? The fear of change is called metaphysophobia. That's a big, giant word, which is why I tried to get this. What does it mean? It means you're scared, okay? So, scared of change. If we can actually start embracing that and saying, it's okay, because we all feel this, and think about a positive change. Getting married, is that scary? Oh, hell yeah. Look at the groom standing up there going, what am I doing? Right? And the bride going, where's the flowers? What did they do this? Did they get the pictures? Right? It's probably the most scariest day of your life because we're thinking about everybody else and everything else, right? It doesn't matter if it's positive change, neutral change, or negative change. You've got to learn how to reflect on that, and you can. So literally, am I scared? What does that mean? Am I surprised by the change? How do I feel about this? The energy. Key word is, how do I feel? Am I conflicted, or do I champion the change? Because, like I said, it could be a positive. Ooh, I like this. This is where you have to hone salespeople down, right? Yeah, we'll do anything and we'll do everything. Hang on, think this through a minute, you know. It's like the puppy who gets really excited, although he's actually mastering his own change very well at the moment. So, do I like the change or do I not? What can I do about it? The minute you start saying what actions, what can I do about it, you are no longer in assumption. You're actually starting to critically reflect and you're starting to focus. What this does psychologically is it starts to cool you down. It's not so scary, it puts you in control. So your control level starts to rise and your fear level starts to sink. It's a beautiful thing when you start asking yourself, am I scared, and thinking it through. Thinking is not the enemy. Thinking actually helps you to win. And there, could you explore any other options or opportunities? What could you explore? It's another action point, right? And then are you receptive or do you reject the change? Because you can do both, right? If you're rejecting the change, I want you to actually then float, could I explore any other options or opportunities? And then say, what decision can I make? Here in the decision, there's actually 3 possible outcomes. A favorable decision means I like this. Great, so what? What are you going to do? Build your plan. An unfavorable decision, okay, that's fine, you're in control. You don't have to like every change, but so what? What can you do about it? But you can also be stuck in something called confusion or indecision. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know where I'm supposed to go. If you do the actions and you explore the options and opportunities, get that information in, you'll have a different opinion. In essence, do the work. What we're saying here is do the mental work for yourself. Is that fair? Makes kind of sense when you think about it, right? Yeah, how do I empower myself? The model is not linear. It can't be. You don't think that way. In our thought process, we are all over the place. We are chaotic. Sometimes we're happy, sometimes we're sad, sometimes all in the same moment. So the model has to be fluid as well too. It's a coaching model as well. As supervisors and leaders, you can do what I've just done. Are you surprised by this? How do you feel about it? Conflicted? Champion? What could you do, right? I can coach you through the change. But I can also do this, as we talked, James, for my customers. So that the sales process becomes co-creative. It's exactly what we should do. How do we actually process this change together, side by side? Your goal as a coach or a supervisor is not to guide them step by step, but allow them to flow through the change. You want to, over time, help them to make their own decision about the change. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Because it has to be theirs. What have they decided? Okay? From there, what can I do about it? This is missing in every single organizational change methodology. So what? What am I supposed to do? You introduce the change to me. What is my so what? What is my plan? So in business, we understand strategy, right? We do a lot of strategic sessions, we build strategy decks, etc. Another nice, easy word for strategy is what's your plan? What are you going to do about this change? What options do you have? Are there any other opportunities? If you reflect on that now, while you're in the process of how you're feeling about the change, you can actually start to bring in elements of what you could do to own it. Like I said just a few while ago, creating my own job. I don't want to do this anymore. I don't see a fit for me. What else could I do? Create it. Find it. Sell the pitch. Pitch internally, right? It applies to any change. Do I have a way forward? Do I think this plan is going to work? And then do I have hope, or do I know how my change is going to work? Now, a lot of guys, again, police and fire, hope. Yeah. Guess what? If you don't have hope something will work, you won't put forward the energy. It's just psychology, right? The absence of hope is no motivational driver. If you have hope something will work, chances are that you actually will deliver for yourself. So this is a great reflection point to say, do I know how this is going to work, or am I hopeful that will work? If you can't say yes, then go back and rework your plan. But if you can say yes, then move forward and say, right, what actions will I take, and how do I take ownership? What does that look like? What does good look like for me? Is it a milestone? Is it a date? Is it a promotion? Is it a campaign? Is it a customer signing a new deal? What does it look like? Write it out. Write what your plan is. And then don't forget, the most important element in taking ownership is to reward yourself. We as human beings don't always get the praise that we want from others. And your employees don't always get that from you. You're busy, right? Have you ever noticed that? Anybody have the employee that's like, look at me, I'm up here, I did this, I did that. People need to be recognized. But you can do that for yourself as well. And it's lonely at the top, isn't it, as leaders? If you reflect and you say, you know what, this worked for me, chances are this will become a cognitive skill set. And the next big major change, you'll remember this worked for you. And now all of a sudden you're in control of your change. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. This is a learnable skill set. It becomes a cognitive behavior, just like riding a bike, just like running, just like walking, just like driving. You can learn how to do it, okay? But as leaders, if you apply this methodology with a blended mix of transformational leadership, then you're actually leading inclusively, okay? You're getting people at their best, you're having ideation, you're having transfer of knowledge, you're having ownership, and you're actually empowering your people and your entire organization. So don't think of change as something that human resources does. Don't think of change as something that the consultants from Accenture comes in one time and does for the big reward, and we're done. Change is something that happens every day to you, yourself, in your families, in your lives, and it definitely, if you're experiencing it, your employees will be experiencing it as well too, and your customers, right? So don't walk away from it. There is a methodology now. It's called Scared. So what? And that's okay. These pieces have to go together. What we've had in the past is just organizational change. We've counted on the consultants to just do it and everything would be done. But have you ever turned around and said, where did Bob go? He no longer works here. What about Mark? What about Becky? Where's all of our knowledge going? Chances are, when people are leaving the organization, it's from frustration from change. And you've felt it yourselves. How many times have you said, I don't want to work here anymore? Or I don't want to do this anymore, right? Your needs are not being included. And if you can actually be included in your needs in the change processes, you stand a better chance of staying, growing, being happier within your lives. But these two skill sets are new, transformational leadership and also personal change. And I would encourage you to add them into your programs. And as your doctor of business, because that's exactly what I am, if I look at many organizations, the symptoms are uncertainty, change fatigue, lack of understanding on change and management and how to even process it. I see so many leaders and asking the conversations, how do you lead? They can't articulate it for themselves. How do you lead change? They can't articulate that either. Somebody in HR does that. Oh, we just get on with it. Great. I wonder how much longer your business will be working, right? It's a human function, change. You experience it, so therefore your employees and your customers experience it as well too. It is a part of the sales journey. Every one of you who sells something, you are instigating change into people's lives. How you manage that is going to make it successful. Would you agree? Mm-hmm. Yep. So my solution for you, my prescription, is really simple, a blended mix between transactional and transformational leadership. I realize that we get so busy, we do need to live a little bit in transactional, but not 83% of our lives. We've got to shift that down. And we have to recognize when somebody comes in knocking on my door or calling or doing the call with me, don't rob them of a learning opportunity. Use that coaching methodology and just turn it back on them. They'll own it when you do that. And they'll actually be more inclined to grow and follow. And that's exactly what we want, okay? Full immersion into personal change management. I realize today is something new, but go back to your organizations and talk about this. You know, our change plans. You can actually calculate the costs of failed change in your organization. Look at how many people have left. Do you know why? That's your knowledge, that's your proprietary skills, that's your ideation walking out the door. You can put a dollar figure on it, and you should, right? Because if you start to lead inclusively from a foundation of including people and change management that actually includes and focuses on them, you should have a greater workforce, okay? Is that fair? The result of all of this is clear. You'll have leadership that people can engage and grow. You'll have change that's inclusive and impactful, empowerment to grow beyond just numbers. And many of you are in startups. I'm a startup as well too. You know, I've got a few great customers, but I realize that even I have to practice what I preach every single day. I have to live my own truth as well too. That means I have to embrace a change. And my other half, my partner, always says, you made the model, use it. Oh yeah, that's right. And just that power, you made the model, it tells me that there's an alternative. That's helpful because it gives me a new way to think. But you can actually facilitate truly transformative futures for people. And if that's an organization you'd like to work in, then lead it. Be it. Be that change. Be that change today.